Our next problem, number 27, find the surface area and volume of the triangular prism. And we see the triangle right down here. And we can identify here that what appears to be a right angle, which is going to be important because we're going to need that for finding the area of that triangle down there. And so I'm going to start with surface area. And for surface area, I'm going to have two bases of this triangle, which for the sake of this, I'm going to call left and right. I'm going to have a bottom of the shape, which is going to be 4 centimeters by 11 centimeters. I'm going to have a top of the shape, which will be this other rectangle here, 5 centimeters by 11 centimeters. And I'm going to have a back side of this shape, the part that would be not visible to me, which I guess since these are three-dimensional shapes and you could be seeing it differently, is a matter of perspective. But I'm calling this back rectangle back here the back side. And that is 11 centimeters long and 3 centimeters high. So now I need the bases, which were my triangular shapes. 1/2, 3 times 4, and I have 2 of those, so times 2. And so now I simply need to multiply these out. 1/2 times 3 times 4 times 2 is going to equal 12. 4 times 11, that's pretty easy, that's 44. 5 times 11, that's 55. 3 times 11, that's 33. And so I'm going to add 33 to 55 to 44 to 12 and determine that the surface area is 144 centimeters squared. Next we'll find volume. And again, this is where it's going to become a little bit more important. I can't just say length times width times height, because I got a bunch of different numbers here, and I can't identify one as length times width, and one is the length, one is the width, and one is the height. So this is where we really use that formula for volume, V equals base times height. And the base of a triangular prism is this triangle shape here. Because the triangle shape is being extended out in height into the third dimension, so my two-dimensional triangle is being extended out three-dimensionally to form a prism. So my volume would equal the base. Well, first I need to find the base. My base is a triangle, and I need to find the area of the base. That would be solved by saying 1/2 times 3 times 4. Got to find the area of the triangle. 4 times 3 is 12. Half of that is 6. So my base is 6. My height is the distance that this thing is extended into the third dimension. That's 11 centimeters. So times 11. So my volume equals 66 centimeters. Number 28. Again, I can see that I have a triangle on the base, which means that somewhere up here in the third dimensional aspect, I'm going to have another triangle. Those are my two bases. This particular shape doesn't have enough information for us to figure out the surface area because we weren't given a side length over here. So how about I go ahead and give us one. If that's 8, we'll call that 8 because they look pretty close to each other. Now that would make it an equilateral triangle, and it's not identified as such. Let's call you 6. Because it is. All right, so let's start with first surface area. Surface area is going to be the area of my two ends. So I'm going to call those left and right. I'm going to have a bottom to this triangle. And since these two sides are congruent, if one is 6, then the back side is also 6. So I'm going to have a front and back rectangular shape to this triangle. So let's fill some of these in. I have 1/2. The height is 10 times 8. And I have 2 of those. Remember, I have a triangle on the front and a triangle on the back. I need the surface area for both. The bottom of the shape, I'm calling this big rectangle, so 20 by 8. And I only have one shape that's that dimension. I have 2 front and back shapes to this triangle that are 20 by 6. And that would be all my pieces of the triangle, so now I can find out their measures. 1/2, 10 times 8 times 2 is going to be 80. 20 times 8 would be 160. 20 times 6, and remember that I have 2 of those, is going to be 240. And so I have a combined surface area of 480 centimeters squared. Now let's work on figuring out the volume. Volume again equals big base times height. Now we already figured out the volume of the base, but we did it for 2 at a time, so now we're going to do it again. But we know that the height is the amount that this triangle is extended out into the third dimension. That's 20. So now we just need to figure out our base again. That's 1/2 of 8 times 10, which would be 40. So my volume would equal 40 times 20. V equals 800 centimeters cubed.